let her catch her breath, right? All right. Do we have any citizen comments? All right, hearing none, we will move on to approval of the June 8th minutes.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. If Brenda's feeling like she has her breath
I've got
about
it.
her,
I'm ready to go.
we might start reviewing the bank statements.
Awesome, so in the packet, they should be in the order that they're listed on the agenda. The bank statement is included on there. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
I don't think we received the
Yeah, I'm not sure that.
It's not in there.
I don't.
The password I saved and wrote down is not working. Do you think it would have defaulted to the original one?
Let's try it.
Because I wrote it down, but it's not working.
We have the general ledger that you guys type up, right? We don't have the
Yeah,
bank
it got
statement.
sent in a few different emails, so just double check to make sure that I had sent that.
So if I forget password.
If you just choose forget password
Where will it go?
to the, we can go into the email. We can do it afterwards, or do you need the packet?
Actually,
I'll just share it.
yeah, she can just share it with me, because actually I have it printed.
I'll mess with it. See your hand.
No, you're fine.
I wrote it down.
I don't think we got it.
Better.
Yeah, you're good, I got this one stronger.
Kind of frustrating. And Barbara is mother henning him. Yeah, well.
So we can either get it printed off for everybody, or
She goes a little overboard.
Got it here.
In there, I'm
Just
thinking.
send it to me.
Mhm.
You wanna do a copy and give it to everyone, cause it was sent to Katie at the same
There's
time
plenty
that the rest of the packet items were sent.
The bank statement? Do you have it right there?
I do.
General ledger.
This morning.
And it's included in the deposit.
yeah, but this is tight.
Yeah, some days. Carol has said, oh, you know, really, the garden is just fine, and the rest of the yard, you're just working on long-term, so.
It's not supposed to.
Everything's watered, everything's growing, the rabbits are eating it.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we grow gardens, feed the rabbit in the deer.
I think he got 32 bean plants the other day. Just phew, just sheared them off.
Yeah, oh, yeah, they do. Mhm.
Wet. Hey, how you doing, Brenda? Sorry, I'm late, guys. At 8:15 or at 8 o'clock. What's the last 15 minutes? 30.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll get your thing for you, just a minute.
Been to a meeting with my
laptops
laptops
yet.
yet.
Guess the last one was the first one.
You haven't done it yet?
No, so I'll do that.
Here, I'll log you in real quick.
So I opened up the front door this morning, there's this
Beautiful birds.
at my house,
Still alive, probably.
which isn't saying much.
Looking up at
For everybody that's at the big statement, I'll get you some.
But my subordinates really question my abilities as I'm the
My father built a round glass house once. Oh my gosh, that was the worst thing we ever did. We had to put up grape arbors.
Right.
Can I spell your last name, right?
Because it was the.
That's why I bring my whole back to goals and I line it up.
My mother felt like she was living in the middle of a.
So probably good to remember that, huh?
You're gonna, nope, you're gonna create your own.
Sweet.
CDs. Their reports come so late.
You'll go into Google once it pops up,
Okay.
You don't want to start Googling reconciliation.
and then we'll go into
No,
Google
14.
Drive.
Please get your statements out.
And it does touch screen if it works
Oh,
better.
I just-
Ledger.
The first 10 days.
Go ahead.
It's so big, it's $7,500.
Change the settings, that's what, there you
I've
go.
had trouble with QuickBooks for the last 3 months. Meals on bills.
On this
And
left
last night at my own
go to
paycheck,
shared drives.
didn't calculate a single one,
Yeah.
so I could just start paying.
Shared drives, sorry, I lied.
Okay.
And you pay them, what, almost $1,300 a year.
Okay.
Sweet, so I can get all my packets here now?
Yep, and then once
Get
you,
this right.
I was gonna say,
So everybody finds it.
that's awesome, thank you.
and then you'll see an agenda folder.
Gotcha. I went through it, but I didn't print it.
This check 2540.
Let me send it to you.
But maybe we'll run into it here somewhere.
It's your paper. I have the bank statement here. It was withdrawn.
Zoom it in, 'cause it-
Oh,
says here.
Just nonstop.
Yeah, we probably gotta figure out a different way of doing it, printing these ones, cause they're like, by the time they turn them into a PDF, like save them bigger maybe or something. It just had to be saved differently. Now it's like a PDF. And you send them in. Because when you zoom in on it, it gets all blurry, so it's hard to read. Okay, my, just one, that thing that I'm noticing right away is we're missing check 2514 here on 6/9 from the statement. I don't see it.
Whitney, I'm not hearing all of what you're saying. Sorry.
I don't see check 2514. That's on the statement,
What's that?
on the ledger. Should have been around 6/9,
That would have
it
been,
looks like.
yep, so
I
that
just-
would have been the check for the hours from the previous. So on, sorry. The check isn't listed in there, so I can just add that in for the next
Yeah.
meeting.
That's a big check to not be accounted for, so I was,
So that would be the hours and the expenses that were approved from last meeting.
I kind of see.
Ledger.
Is it just a check that didn't clear or?
No, it was the payment for, our last meeting's approved expenses and hours. I put the total, but I didn't actually put the physical check on the line in the ledger. So the total on your bank statement would be $75,400 $815.81, which is reflected on 531, on,
Project hours.
yeah, BID project hours on 531 for May. So the totals match, but the actual check isn't listed on there. I'll be sure to add that to the ledger going forward.
Knew it would be easier for you to find than me. Okay, any questions about or discussion on the bank statement?
They're kind of oddly blurry, aren't they?
It's really hard to read it.
And that is the ledger.
Ledger, bank statement.
Down here later, right?
Well, I don't think we go over the ledger specifically.
Okay, it's not an action item anyway, okay. Just on the statement, the PNFCU statement, that's all we're working on right now. I would need a motion to approve or any discussion.
I move to approve statement. As is.
All right, wait a second.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. So moving on to the invoices, are they
So
not in order?
these
So
are not in
let's just-
order, how
Can
they're
we do them
listed,
in
so
their
we're-
order, or which order would you like to go in?
what would be easiest, the way that it's in the packet or the way that it's listed on the agenda?
Probably the packet, because that's what's in front of them.
Okay, perfect, I can do that.
Okay.
So,
For what it's worth, if I might,
yes,
I found that if you use the plus and minus on the magnifying glass, it actually,
Instead of zooming. with your
instead of zooming
finger.
with your fingers, it actually is very clear.
Oh,
So,
good to know.
and easier to see.
Oh, it is clear, more clear. I mean, does it zoom in?
Yeah, it kind of adjusts as it goes.
Good.
Okay, yeah, the magnifying glass is hiding where?
Right at the bottom of the
At the
page.
bottom, and the page number.
So in the packet that has Kane, apparently the first one.
I've looked at
Do you see it, Dennis?
track is the first.
No, I'm not seeing it.
Oh, there you go.
As you're scrolling down.
No.
So mine might be finished.
Oh, there.
So this is what, so right after
Popped up.
the general
Yeah, right
ledger,
there.
I
Yeah,
have
here you go.
the check to the
Yeah,
city.
it adjusts as you kind of go better.
Okay,
So the pages should be listed on the bottom,
Okay.
right-hand corner of your packet, the
Ledger,
printed
and
one.
we've got invoice. Administrative fee.
okay, so
Does
which one are we
everyone,
on?
yeah, does everyone see the administrative fee check is the first thing past the ledger?
$7,000 one.
Yes, okay, perfect. So I'm just gonna go in the order that you guys are seeing it on the screen, and then I will jump around on the agenda. That way everybody can kind of follow with what's in the packet.
Let's do that.
I did already notice though that this check is not listed on the agenda, so, this is the administrative fee that, is paid to the city for the, ratepayer assessment, collections. So we, the BID pays this into the city, for the, collection and the administrative costs to be able to do that. So that's what that check is there. Do you know?
So Madam
It's-
Chair, if it's not on the agenda, we probably have to wait
Yeah.
until next time to approve it.
Probably gonna have to wait, yeah. You didn't see it in any of the other ones either, huh? Okay, we will table that one for next time.
Does that louse up anything with the city?
I'm sorry, what?
Does that louse up anything with the city
I mean,
and their requirements and
Already
things?
been paid.
No, it's
technically
already been
it's
paid.
already been paid. It's just not approved by you guys.
Is that another one that's like a regular set price?
It's an annual fee.
Annually? So that's something that we could maybe pre-approve going forward, or do we have to approve it each time? If we know what the amount.
Like,
I mean,
I
it's
think we
part
could
of the,
probably do it like the Neo stuff or
Contract.
whatever.
Mhm.
You know, if it's a set amount all the time, we should get that maybe approved at the next meeting.
Okay.
And we can approve that one too. Sound good?
I believe it's also listed in the administrative agreement between BDL and the city,
So-
so
Yep,
it should be.
It's already approved.
just like the Neo thing, I think we could do the same.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So I will add that.
You don't wanna do 7,000 a month, right?
No. Okay. So the next check on there is for check number 2519.
Okay, so what is this one?
So this would be the remainder of the hours, or financials and hours approved for May from last meeting. There should be a spreadsheet in your packet. So we had pre-approved up to $5,000 for Sound Downtown. So there should be a sheet in your packet, it's just a smaller Excel sheet for just that 5,000, what has been spent from there and what the remaining budget is on that.
So why do the numbers up on top not match up to $5,000? Or is that from their reading it wrong?
It doesn't. 40.
About 4,700.
I think that was the original budget and we approved last time, if I'm not mistaken,
Correct, and so,
up to 5,000 or not to exceed, basically.
right, which we're still under that 5,000, well under it. I was able to get some nonprofit matching with our advertising. So I kind of overestimated based on what we've done previously, and they were able to actually give us a pretty big price break. So I feel like we're gonna actually come out way under budget. So, so far it's only that 34 that has been spent, that amount.
So that 3,400 check just went into BDL's advertising, how does that, what was that?
Right, so it was just a reimbursement for advertising that we had paid for Sound Downtown.
Oh.
In addition to promotional products, printing, that type of thing. I think another piece of that was included was some of the hardware for the sunshades for the Brackenberry improvements that were approved in last month's meeting.
So does this need to be
Sorry.
fixed?
Yeah, cause the budget's not matching
Yeah,
up
it's
with,
not matching
it
up.
just says total spent and remaining is the amount of the check. No, it's different number, 31, 45, yeah, they're different. Different numbers.
Printing already over by 100.
So is there a way that we can look back and reconcile those numbers?
Yeah, so another thing that I am noticing as well is that the check is not listed on the agenda either.
It is, it's number 12, but in the amount of $3,440. Because isn't that the BDL staff hours and volunteer hours?
So that's different, so that check is different than what we're
So we
talking
have
about
three
for Sun
different
Downtown.
numbers we're running with.
I think that's financials and hours for May is different than,
Okay.
I think that must be
So
different.
this check is not on there as well?
So the 34 correct, it is not the same. So the 3440 for hours and, for staff and volunteer hours are actually for the month of June. So the 34, the check that's in the
Get here.
packet is for hours, or excuse me,
May.
for, correct, for expenses from May that were pre-approved.
Schedules and hours.
So there's no way to break that down
So
on
I
a
think
check
the-
stub or on the,
Yeah, so I think what, in the QuickBooks for BID, it auto-populates based on the last check that was written.
Oh.
And so now that I'm seeing May's, it has the exact same description on the memo. So it should actually reflect financials approved, 6/8, and then the list of those financials. So I think it would be better if we table this one, and I can provide a full list of what was included in that 3456 so that it can actually be reviewed. It is listed in the May packet, but I think it'll take
that's one of the
too
difficulties
much
with
time to
online.
try to go through and look at
Yeah.
that. So I'll add that to,
So if we're reviewing something that we've already
I still
approved,
write a ledger.
it's just, I don't know, not connecting exactly.
I think what we're missing is the worksheet.
That went with whatever this check
It
was.
feels like there should be worksheets with everything we do, right? Then we know what happened, what went on, what we're doing, what we're paying for,
right,
and what we're approving. And that would make it easier, I think, if we had a worksheet for everything that we're approving so we can see and know what we're doing, or what we're putting on it.
Well, and if they were for things that were already approved, I don't know why we're approving it again.
And if we had that worksheet, it would all be together.
Right, and so we
And
already know.
as things went on, you just keep including it to that worksheet. So yes, this one probably has to be tabled because it's not everywhere, right? It doesn't match up, I mean, I guess. Not that it's not correct, sorry, wrong choice of words.
No,
It just doesn't match up, so, okay.
I'll just provide a more detailed, and I'll change the, or add an addition to the payment record on there that lists everything that was included in that amount. And then I'll need to figure out.
That used to be very easy on the old QuickBooks desktop, but it's not easy on,
It's-
it's not easy on the
Yeah, and
online.
I'm still
version.
going through a little bit of training with a few folks that have partnered up with us, so learning how to do those so that it's not automated, so we don't run into something like this is another learning curve for me, so.
So I think what I'm looking for, and y'all can chime in, right, is that worksheet filled out so we know what's going on, what the expected expenses are. And then behind that, you're gonna have these checks and things that pertain to it, so we can just see the whole snapshot at once instead of back and forth. Does that work?
Yep.
Does that make sense to everybody? Okay.
Already approved something and then if we're additional,
Yeah.
we're not like double
Yep.
doing it.
Right.
And it'd be really easy to just write notes on there along the way, so, and then you'd have that project sheet each time, that's what it's called, huh? Project worksheet.
The project worksheet has a lot of details that don't pertain to any of this, I'd be filling out 2
For
lines
certain
on
ones,
those.
yeah, which is fine,
Okay,
because it's consistent, every single time we're looking at it, we're looking at the same
same
thing,
spot,
yeah.
okay,
And then you know this doesn't pertain,
right, okay, I can do that.
or we can make a shorter version for those types of.
It might be easier for review for the board if it was kind of like
We
that
could have 2 different
spreadsheet that
types.
was included in the packet that just says, this is for financials, this is for the full project itself, because they're gonna go together anyway. So being able to see, like, if the board does pre-approve something and then we come back, it's more just of a review of, okay, you pre-approved 5,000, this is what was spent, this is how it goes to this project, this is the check that was part of it, but also part of this one. There could be one check that goes to multiple projects, so.
I think if we see it all in one as, okay, this project and this is what's going on, then we're not having to explain each and every one either, because we already know what it is when we
Yeah.
see it. Okay, what's the next one?
So the next is a deposit slip, that should be reflected on your bank statement for the 11,233.
And what was this deposit for, or from?
Bid funds on.
So any deposits are just assessments. And there's a second deposit slip for the $3,700, which is also at the top of your bank statement. Also assessments.
When you approve the bank statement, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so these could probably go with this next time, huh? Okay. There you go.
Okay, so the next sheet in your packet is that Sound Downtown budget. I did receive the invoice from the Tribune. I believe it was just a little over 900, and we allotted up to 2,000. So we're still, like I said, well under that budget, but that invoice will be included on our next month's meeting packet. And following that is Hell's Canyon Apparel. So this would be for the Sound Downtown promotional products. So I'll have to add this one onto the details of that check for the 34. I know that this is one of them. So we'll move down to Neon. This will be the last month that we approve it individually. I believe either last month or 2 months ago, we approved to approve the statement quarterlies beginning in July. So the next item on next meeting will include the entire quarter, third quarter for Neon in a total of $4.60 and 41 cents. So this is a reflection of just the Neon invoice for June with the note that beginning in July, it will be paid quarterly. Does need to be approved for June though.
And just remind us what Neon is again.
So Neon is the CRM system that we use for all of the registrations to be able to run reports, send out our newsletters, track emails, all of that.
Can I get a motion?
Moved.
Second. Any discussion?
Fine, we're voting on just approving this particular one.
Yep, so it would just be for the 153.47 that would cover June, and then
We'll have to do another.
in August, it'll be paid quarterly.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So we're not doing what's on the agenda that says pre-approve.
You had already pre-approved the quarterly
Quarterly
billing
last time.
for QuickBooks and Neon in a previous meeting, so.
Just the way it was listed on the agenda was that the action item was to pre-approve by August and September, right?
Should we double check the minutes last time? Because I think we did vote to
We did.
do the
Yeah.
quarterly.
We did vote to do quarterly. Can we move forward if it was written wrong in the agenda? This one is a little off then.
So
No,
we
it doesn't
approved
say.
the invoice for Neon One of 153.47. The minutes. Let me look at last agenda and see what the actual invoice was. So the last one was for May. So it was put down wrong on the agenda. So we can do a motion to pay Neon One and a motion to prepay.
I move that we prepay Neon One $460.41 for the month, for the quarter, including months July, August, and September.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Sorry.
No. Good.
That's a good thing to point out.
Yep, good catch. And now we're on the record.
So the next invoice, same thing, but just for QuickBooks. So it looks like we'll need, 2 individual action items on that.
So you need for just June and then the prepayment, yep.
Okay, but this invoice is for June, July, so this is the July invoice.
So,
But this is one of the prepayment ones, isn't it? Because it says from June 27th to July 27th.
we, so it's a June 27th bill.
So the last invoice reflects May 27th to June 27th.
So this is actually prepaying July, right?
So this is paying June and prepaying July, August, and September. Last month we did May.
This is dated on June 27th, and it says it's for the period through July, so that's really the first one of the quarter, right?
Are you looking at the invoice, Dawn? By chance, the old one, does it, on the bottom, does it
This-
say,
yes.
May through June, or
Here's
does
the
it
old
say?
May 27th through June 27th.
And so we already approved that one, so this is actually for,
This is
would be
just part of
the-
the this is just part of
This is
the,
the old one here.
Yeah,
So the top date says May, and then this
Yeah.
one says May to June.
so if you're going by that, then it's one thing, yeah.
so we're
Right.
really pre-approving the 3 months at this
Yeah,
point.
she's already got the approval for June, yep.
I move that we prepay Intuit QuickBooks $255 for the quarter, including months July, August, and September.
second,
Any discussion on that one? All right, all in favor?
alright,
Opposed? Okay, so now you got the quarterlies.
Madam Chair.
Quarterly pre-approved.
I still have a motion on the table that needs to die.
dismiss that.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say, we gotta go back and get rid of the June one now. So how do you do that?
Just the second withdraws and you withdraw.
Oh, I withdraw my motion.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
statement on that. So this invoice, similar to last month, still needs to be approved for the 85, and then in addition to, for the next quarter, because I will still receive 3 individual invoices for third quarter. So it's the same as Neon. Last month we approved for that month. This month we're still approving for this month, in addition to July, August, and September.
That's not what it's, that's not what
It's-
their invoice says.
It's not how the invoices work. It's almost like we
Their
just
invoice says it's
missed
for the
one
next month.
somewhere. I don't know how to fix that though.
I think your guys are kind of saying the same thing, Madam Chair. Brenda's saying going by the invoice date, but you guys are going by
What it
the
says on the
period,
invoice.
the monthly period.
Yeah.
And she's saying that she's gonna have an invoice for July, August, and September by invoice date.
You don't go by invoice date, you go by what it covers.
Right.
But we didn't start that way.
We didn't start that way as a
Right.
problem, yeah.
So we gotta either, yeah. We basically prepay, sounds like, when we pay these bills, kind of halfway through the month is when it's due and it covers.
Yeah, why can't they just do it regular
We
month?
just get billed at the end of the month for that, for the
That's not what the invoice says.
Yeah, the invoice says date June 27th and it's payment for
The period of,
June through July.
It says May 27th. Last month.
You're looking at
So
last
did you-
month, yeah, yeah.
but even with,
Oh, this is why I shouldn't
so
go
we
back.
approved the
June 27th. I
May,
see what
June
you're
one
saying.
last time, thinking it was
Just
May.
May, but was actually.
So it's a technical thing, really. I don't know how to get around that.
I think
When
we
the
just,
agenda doesn't match.
I think we just have this motion that just says we prepay, and that's where it
Quarterly,
is.
yeah, we were
Yeah.
doing quarterly prepayment, so it makes sense.
Weird, but it's weird, and their timing
No,
is
you're bringing up the right stuff. Yeah, it just
just
seems to be.
frustrating.
Yeah,
This is why going to the quarterlies will be much easier.
right.
So we're just missing something for the June, right?
Well, if we go by what
No, it's actually paid in June. It's
Dennis
just-
and Madam Chair are
Yeah.
saying, we're fine, because for the next three, for this invoice and two more invoices, that's your
It's a
quarterly.
quarter.
That's quarterly, okay. I will just make sure to add, a year-to-date QuickBooks so that we can make sure to just review it next time so that
Okay.
we can clarify and just have it on the record that this is how it was being paid for, so that we're not either A, missing an invoice, or A, have overpaid an invoice, because if that's the case, then a reimbursement doesn't.
I hate it when companies do that, but
Yeah,
It's confusing, but it's an easy fix. I can just pull up the invoices, put them all in one document. We can review them at the next meeting. That's.
I think we're all on the same page, it's just verifying that it all got paid the way that we thought. Okay, good.
what we don't wanna do is pay them twice.
Okay, so the next statement is the Meta invoice for advertisement, Facebook advertisements for Crazy Days Sound Downtown in the amount of $250. So these are boosted posts. We're still trying to capture the Spokane and South, as well as I tried two different approaches, one that only went up to Moscow Pullman area for the radius, and then one that was a much broader radius. And the broader radius was more comical than anything, the comments of people asking, you know, where is Lewiston, Idaho even? And I've never been to this place, and I know nothing about these people. And then comments from LA, you know, people are like, we wanna come see so-and-so, is this guy gonna be there? And I'm like, what? Okay, we're gonna put it right back down to Moscow Pullman. So halfway through this, I think the original budget was closer to like 425, but narrowing that radius to really focus in on the people that, for
That could
whatever
get
reason,
here.
it was going to a lot of outside places outside of that region. So this would be the total cost for that advertising for those two events. And then there's a second one, I believe on here it's listed as a total. So the second one for 5159, again, is advertising for Sound Downtown. The second one is only Sound Downtown, in addition to the first one that includes Crazy Days as well.
Approve.
I move to approve payment to Meta of $301.59.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alright. What we got next?
So next is McVeigh Entertainment Group, and this is for, so this is a combination of Ladies Day Out, Crazy Days.
Combined them.
Yeah, I did that on the phone the other day too, and got a good chuckle out of it. And Sound Downtown, as well as Hot August Hoops. So I had them send us additional detail because their last invoice just included a statement with balance forward from, without details of what that balance forward was for. So The approval amount for this is not the entire 1,600, because Sound Downtown was included. The payment for that has already been issued per the pre-approval from last month's meeting of that 5,000. So the amount needing to be approved is only 1,100 because we have already paid the 500 towards radio within that $5,000 allotment.
Okay, and this is,
So would that be a motion to approve the remaining balance then? I move that we approve the remaining balance.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, so the next one should be postal copy. So this would be advertisement for Hot August Hoops. So we do the program that Hot Shots provides where you take them, the labels, they put them on the cups. They distribute them in 3 different locations. So there were 9,000 labels that went out last week from Tuesday to Sunday. We got a flood of registrations, which tells me this program is still working. We've tried it with several other events. With Ladies' Day, it wasn't as much of a pull, but with events that have registrations, I have noticed an incline in registrations when we do utilize that Hot Shots program. So this postal copy plus invoice is for the printing of those, as well as the posters for Hot August Hoops.
Copy invoice. State the amount for $316.89.
I have a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Do we have local people who are members of BDL?
Yes, so both postal copy, print craft, and we had a third one at one point. Remember who I believe Staples was a partner. Postal copy and print craft are both still partners. So we do some projects with postal copy that we need right away. And then we do some of our bigger, more detailed projects with print craft because they have access to some of those machines here locally. So we kind of tried to spread the love a little bit. The next invoice is for Northwest Media. So this is the Q pins. So I don't know if you guys are I guess registered is the best word to say with you text BDL to 55678 and you agree to receive up to 5 messages a month. So this is what we use to notify people specifically for Sound Downtown. It has worked so well in the last 2 years to advertise what bands are playing. We constantly get phone calls of who's playing this week, what time does music start, what day of the week I mean, questions that are on posters and everything. This kind of eliminates some of those phone calls and answers the questions to the public. And we've seen, for example, this last Friday, the pictures that I received on the tail end of the night also happened to be a First Friday. Brackenberry was packed. So I know that a lot of the musicians that we bring in bring their own crowds. And I got a lot of feedback saying, oh, I'm so glad that you sent out that text message because otherwise we would have forgotten or we would have gone out of town or this, that, or the other thing. So this is this will be the quarterly bill, which will give us a discount for that Q-Pins software to be able to send out those messages to remind folks to either register, participate, anything that has to do with events that are funded by the BID.
Um,
I move that we pay Northwest Media Inland Digital $597.
Second.
any discussion?
And so is that the quarter that just passed, or is that the quarter coming?
No, that's quarter coming up, so I'm trying my best to do pre-approvals rather than hindsight so that we can really evaluate whether or not the board wants to do that going forward.
And what's that phone number for Q-Pins?
55678. Just text BDL.
I think we were on discussion, right? Okay, any more discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So the next receipt is from from Sherman's, and so this would be an extension cord, and the extension cord, the plastic that you wrap the extension cord in. We've noticed that as we're using them over and over with Sound Downtown, they're getting a little tattered, and this last time we attempted to start a fire. So we went out and got a new extension cord that we leave in Brackenberry in replacement for the one that was in there.
Gives new meaning to the line at the bottom of the receipt.
Oh,
Have a sparkly day.
yeah. So the lady that checked me out, her name is Lori, she's wonderful. Sherman's is also a BDL partner. And I went in and told her, I need a heavy duty cord that it can get stepped on, it can get taped, it can get rewrapped. And she's like, here's the plastic wrap, you wrap it around it, it keeps it really nice. And she hands it to me and I saw that at the bottom, I said, oh, you have no idea.
I thought it was fun.
Just, you don't think about those things until they actually happen, and then sometimes it's.
Right. Okay, we need a motion.
Move to approve the Sherman's invoice for a new extension cord.
Peter, it's okay.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Right.
Okay, the next two invoices are for King's Thrones. This would be for the porta potties that we had for Crazy Days. The reason there's two invoices is the first one was ordered with only regular porta potties. My oversight was not realizing that we also needed to have an ADA accessible restroom available if we were going to put this as part of our permit through Public Works. So I went ahead and ordered a second one. Luckily, they've been, again, wonderful to work with us. Normally, they only do the special event rate when we do for one event, here's one invoice. But she understood the oversight on that and gave us that special rate on that as well.
So, I noticed, so what are we doing? What are we approving here, I guess? So you've already paid this with a BDL check.
Correct. So are you asking why the invoice is coming to the BID or why?
Or how do we end up paying it? So you've already paid it with BDL, right? Are you just looking for a
So
reimbursement?
this is a reimbursement, yes.
And how does the reimbursement happen? The check?
Yeah, the same way all the other expenses.
Okay.
So, and then just to clarify, because I did have a question from a ratepayer on why this is being billed to the BID. In years previous, we have just said, well, go and talk to the businesses. Obviously, that's the kind of purpose of our events, foot traffic into businesses. And their response back was, well, we don't want people coming in just to use the restroom. They're beelining it, they're tunnel vision, they're going to the restroom and they're leaving, and there's really not a whole lot of benefit for us. How can we improve without, building actual bathrooms downtown? And this would be the solution that was discussed, I believe, at the beginning of last year on what are we doing to kind of help the businesses that are like, we just can't handle that traffic for just the
At
restrooms.
Liberty, we're getting like 300 per event.
Yeah.
So
Easily.
shouldn't it be like a
Easily.
50-50 then?
So.
BDL pays 50, BID would step in and pick up 50%, but why is BID totally held accountable for the whole thing?
It was brought up with work plan for the BID.
It's more of a sponsorship, like the BID sponsors, like the toilets or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm wondering about the credit. So like, let's say that so BID sponsoring the toilets, like where's the credit for it, you know, like,
Right.
is that an advertisement or something like that? Signage or, you know me, I'm
Yeah.
all about marketing.
Oh, yeah. We
It's
can,
answering the question of, where those funds going, if somebody's like, oh, BID is providing us toilets
Yeah.
for these
Right.
events.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so similar to the big signs that we put out events that say this event is partially funded by the Business Improvement District. I mean, I can make smaller ones that go on the inside of the porta potties or on the outside or both.
That's what I think should be done, like, it's, just like if you sponsor something, you wanna see your name out there, it's the same thing, like,
Yeah, does the Business Improvement District have a logo or anything that can be included?
So the approved logo is, it's like an addition, we do have a logo,
Okay,
short
okay, I
answer,
just- yeah.
yes.
Okay.
So, and it is on, like on the big posters, that we put out for events.
seeing it's like they just added verbiage, like words.
Yeah, so it
And
just
so-
adds Business Improvement District on
Yeah.
the bottom, so.
Which is fine, as long
Yeah.
as they say.
I move the reimbursement payment of $482.30 for the 2 invoices from King's Thrones.
Any discussion? Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Right. And then just in addition to that, I'll add in some signage to approve for next time, because I know I'll have to talk to King's Throne on how to adhere it to the porta potties, but I think it's absolutely doable.
Everybody should start charging $1 to use their bathroom.
That's
Yeah.
what I think, that's.
You can just have a volunteer at each porta
By
potty with the
donation, you might get
coin
more
jar.
than $1 maybe.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so the next, receipt is from Staples. And this would be for, the ink that we use to print out the BID newsletters to the ratepayers. We opted to pay for the postage because we had to buy it in bulk, so there was no real way to split it up. But it actually was only $4 difference between the ink for the 3 cartridges of black and the postage. So we figured BDL can pay for the postage and the BID can pay for the ink.
Move that we pay Staples $137.79.
Any discussion?
Reimbursement again.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
The next invoice, we had discussed at the beginning of last year's events on how we can improve supporting businesses rather than consistently asking them for donations. One of the ideas was 1 year we ask for donations, the next year we pay for it. Or one event donations, the other event we pay for it. So it's really difficult to go and ask for a donation for one event and then 6 weeks later, or I guess pay for one event and then 6 weeks later ask for a donation. They look at you like, well, you just paid for it 6 weeks ago, so why are we donating it this time? So it got taken to year on year off, depending on what it is that we're purchasing. So Vine 46 gave us 4 gift certificates at a lower cost for our giveaways for Sound Downtown. And the 4th one included one of their bottles that they're tasting. So that was paid for this time. And next year, she's looking to donate for the event so that we can continue to amplify these events and get people to come in and have that talk of, were you at Sound Downtown last week? I just got a tasting certificate and sure enough, I showed up for my tasting at Vine 46 and, my gift certificate happened to be the lucky one and I got, a bottle of whatever they were purchasing there. In talking to a few people at Sound Downtown, we've given away like Art on Court, gift certificates, Hot Shots drinks, T-shirts, swag from Brock's.
I love the electrical light.
Trying to think what other things we've had, and as I talk to people that have been at Sound Downtown, their feedback is, well, we came back because we saw the energy that was around here, because people were so excited to do a dance-off, or sending up their kids to do a dance-off to win something they had no idea what they were winning. So, just kind of creating that excitement downtown. Like I said, some businesses are really willing to donate almost every time. Other businesses are still trying to figure out how to, thrive downtown, and so sometimes giving them that purchasing supports what they're doing, so that's what that is for Sound Downtown.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
So the next two invoices are for Printcraft, and this is again, just for paying the balance because Sound Downtown is included, in this. And so that has already been paid through the pre-approval. So the second invoice that lists the banners, those were all used, in Brackenberry as part of the advertising for the Sound Downtown sponsorships.
Madam Chair, I think the number is wrong. I think it was fat fingered as a 2 instead of a 4.
Yeah,
So
Oh.
it should be 439.90.
yep.
We need to table that.
I think if you make the motion but improve and put the correct amount.
Yeah,
I move that we amend line 11, the invoice for Printcraft Printing, to amount of $439.90.
second.
You mean to amend and approve?
I'd like to amend my
My amendment.
Make your motion.
Yes,
That's fine.
I move that we amend and approve line number 11, the receipt for Printcraft Printing, to read and pay $439.90.
I second. Any discussion? Right, this is where I get a little confused again. We have one check from BDL and one check from Business Improvement District. How does that work?
Because it was pre-approved at the last meeting for Sound Downtown, that's what the banners would be. So once it's pre-approved by the board, it can come out of the Business Improvement District rather than BDL paying and then BDL being reimbursed.
The only thing you'd be reimbursing is the one check, because the other one's already paid.
Correct, so it would be for the reimbursement only. One
So it's really not 439.
64. The
Really
total
not
is the
$439.90.
$439.90, but the reimbursement should only be the $164.30.
So there's kind of, it might need to be cleared up or cleaned up in the future and done differently, just to make it easier, because this one happens to be combined together, and so it's tough. Because you're only getting a reimbursement for part of it, but we're trying to approve both invoices.
Right.
So
It's difficult when you're prepaying some bills and
All need to go
paying
with
some
that.
others.
Yeah.
Now, I know from our company, we don't approve anything until it's been paid,
yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
We don't approve prepayments. So,
and we were trying to get to a point where we could approve most everything ahead of time that we
Right,
right,
can
I get it,
with the
I get it.
worksheets,
And it
but
would
some
just
things
be a
happen.
just make for
review.
confusion.
But it is making for confusion, yeah.
Yeah,
I think it just all needs to be with that pre-approved budget, and then maybe an item that says this has already been pre-approved, so it's been paid, and then this is separate.
and if I knew that this was being reimbursed by a certain check number of BID, it would make it easier too, so I could put
Yeah.
it together.
So on On the, and I think it just needs to be combined to, right next to each other in the packet, kind of like we talked about the details on the itemized with the check. This is the check and these are all the things, this is what was pre-approved, so that was kind of the idea behind this, so that's what that $293 that was already spent on the printing, so the reimbursement would be on the remainder of that, which is on the ledger. Again, still confusing, so I think
Yeah.
itemizing it, putting the check, the worksheet, and then the itemized list separate as its own, maybe its own item on the agenda, so that we can say, these are all that were being,
Pertain to
that were
this.
pre-approved. Let's just review those and make sure they match with what was being pre-approved, and then move into approving new
That would keep
invoices.
you from going crazy.
Yeah. It would keep all of us on the track.
Because it is confusing for us when we look
Right.
at it. At home, I didn't look at it as carefully as, I thought, oh, that's a bill, but I didn't.
So
Focus in on-
theoretically, if you're looking at the general ledger though, there should be a big check going to VDL that is the reimbursement, right?
Right, but because we pre-approved it, the amount as the invoice came in, I did it with enough time that I knew we wouldn't receive the invoice, but I knew what the cost was, cause we're on a flat rate with some of those. And so that's where I came up with that $5,000 allotment. And then as the invoice came in, it doesn't make sense for BDL to pay that and then come back and pre-approve it again. Or I guess approve it again, does that make sense?
We've already approved
So
it, we just need to
it just
have
went straight from the BID as a pre-approval under that.
what it's in
budget.
here looking like we need to.
I'm just
Right.
curious, like, where did it get reimbursed?
That's why we need to
I
put it,
don't-
it's
I
in
don't
that
see where it got
3456 right here.
Okay, and that's where
why we
I
need the
think
detail on that, yep.
being
Yep.
more detailed and having a worksheet to explain that would make sense. Otherwise, in my mind, I'm like, okay, well,
Where does it go?
how do we reimburse you?
And I,
You say it on a worksheet, but where is it?
and I believe that on the payment record, when I do the copy of the check stub, I can list out several lines, and so I can reference whatever line number on the ledger, as well as any additional
It's
information
just
on
gonna
this
keep
check
your
when.
auditor
Yes,
much
Yeah.
happier.
and you don't have to go back and look for it later, a year later
It
when
would
you
drive
gotta
me
explain
crazy
it.
if I were trying to figure it out.
Yeah. So how are we going to approve this?
Right, cause we can't do what we,
We need to approve the invoices and then approve the amount that we're giving VDL. Does that sound right? Cause it's two separate things because it was paid differently, isn't it?
cause one's already been paid by BID, which we already approved basically in our
Right.
pre-approval.
So it was more of a review of it.
Yeah.
As this was part of the budget, this is essentially proof that we didn't go
Well,
over
that's kind of the way it
budget.
should come to us. These
Yeah.
are reviewed,
Right.
they've been paid, they've been pre-approved. These need to be, so that we're not sitting there.
Yep.
And even if you have to hack them apart and put a double copy in there of an invoice
Yeah, I think
that's
that's,
screwy.
I would
That would
agree,
be
I think if
better.
we add a section, under financials, we can do review of pre-approvals from the last meeting, all the invoices that
And it should match the
adhere to
check.
that, and with the check as the final, all these invoices should total this check. And then move into what we're doing right now on invoices that need reimbursement. Would that make more sense?
And
I
then you
think
have
that
to
would
cross-check
make your
yourself.
auditor
Yep.
about 10 times
Okay.
happier.
Yeah. That would actually make it a lot easier for
Yeah.
me, cause
And save
this
money.
was
in the long run.
just as difficult.
I might have
So
him withdraw his motion and start over, you think?
the,
You wanna withdraw your motion and start over?
I'd like to withdraw my motion and start over.
this is for Printcraft, correct?
And then,
So the remaining, excuse me, the remaining balance would be $75.60 that was unpaid.
I don't understand.
The ladies
On the ledger.
Okay,
I
so
apologize, but I'm gonna have to leave. Good luck.
Thank you.
I've gotta get out of here in 7 minutes or
Okay,
6
can we
minutes.
work with one invoice at a time? Would that be okay? Like break down this,
Can we
Number
potentially
11.
table it until we have a better breakdown for next time? Is it something that needs to be reimbursed right away? What are we looking at?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
So we're dealing with print craft, right?
We can, I think it'd be easier for review if we tabled this print craft specifically, because the 164 is a new invoice for reimbursement, and then the $75 that, the $75.60 that needs to be, doesn't actually need to be
Let's table this one, it'll be a good guinea
reimbursed,
pig
because it
to,
was paid
Yeah,
through the
'cause
BID anyway.
we don't even have something that says 75.
and we'll remember this next time so that it'll all make sense to us. Okay.
Do we have to have any kind of official? Okay.
Don's got it noted.
Can I,
Let's table that one.
point of order question, do we still have a quorum if I leave in 5 minutes?
Yeah, we're gonna get through
We
this.
are, I think, at the tail end of this thing.
I mean, at least 5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. We only have one more action item, I think, right?
Yeah. Okay, BDL hours. That's the one that we got to table though too, right?
No, so
Numbers don't
this
match?
one can be approved, this is
Okay.
just the staff and volunteer hours, we were referencing the check that needs the detail on
Okay.
there.
And this one matches up, so, okay.
I move we approve the BDL hours for $3,440 as presented.
I second.
Any discussion?
Have a small discussion.
Yeah.
So on the BDL hours, is BID supposed to pick up that whole thing? Or is BDL paying a portion? Why is BID paying the whole BDL hours?
They're not, these are,
That's a small portion of ours.
Yeah,
yeah,
Oh.
this is just the portion they do for the BID.
correct, so this is only pertaining to the work plan for the BID.
If this
So-
were the only hours for BDL, could you imagine?
86 hours.
Have to get a fourth job.
Or a fourth person, like, I don't know, yeah. Does that make
That's a
sense?
good
These are,
question.
she could write it differently on here.
Yeah, because it's not broke down, so
Yeah.
I'm just going, what,
It could
we're
be
paying-
labeled BDL hours for BID or something, cause it
Yeah.
doesn't say that on there, I see.
Yeah, because it's just,
Yeah.
okay, why are we picking it up?
Yep, no, these are just the BID
Okay.
hours. Okay, any other discussion?
And just question, volunteer hours, is there a cost
Yeah.
associated with that? Okay.
Yeah, we're
Yes.
paying them $40 an hour,
It's billed at 40 an hour per the business improvement district.
which was my discussion
Yeah, I got you.
on the last meeting.
You might wanna change it, I mean, a volunteer term.
Is a volunteer, correct, yeah.
Well, the volunteer itself isn't getting paid,
I got you.
Right,
it's just getting
The
reimbursed.
oversight
Yeah.
is getting reimbursed.
So it's volunteer oversight hours for BDL.
Because theoretically, you could have 8 volunteers
Mhm.
that are getting reimbursed a collective $40 an
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
It doesn't look like we're paying somebody $40 an hour to do.
Right, right.
Right.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, thank you for all of that, Brenda.
I've got to take off, I apologize.
if they want.
10 o'clock across town.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna have to leave at 10 too, so.
All right, can we get
We
a
will fly
quickie on
through
area
this.
one here?
We did get a, bid back from a company for the property listing, and it was nothing that we had asked for, so we kinda went back to the drawing board on that. I do have someone that's already building it exactly, and he's doing it out of the courtesy of his own heart. So the BID won't be billed for it, and we can get it up and running in the next month and a half. And it will be just as simple as an agent can go on the site, put in the information for the property listings within the district. It auto-populates, and then it comes down after a certain amount of time, notifies the agent, and if they wanna redo it, they have to go back in and do it again. So, pretty simple, we asked for simple, we got a really complicated bid back, and it just, financially, it was also not anything that we wanted, so.
No longer an action item. All
Done
right,
and done.
how about area two?
Neighborhood improvements, I'm still working with, Tim Barker to figure out the logistics of digging for the posts for the sunshades. So we finally got the plans of the infrastructure underneath Brackenberry, and I'm glad that we didn't start digging because we would have gone straight through Avista lines. So now we're trying to figure out either a different location for the one post or a different way to attach those sunshades so that they're, safety-wise, they're not gonna fly off somewhere. As part of that, we did get, the custom sunshade that's gonna go over the top of the risers. That's already here, so we can install that. And then we also have the additional sunshades and all the hardware, but we can't actually adhere it to anything that is gonna hold them up, especially if we get a gust of wind like we recently did. We wanna make sure that those aren't coming off of the risers. The metal that's used, those chains are really heavy, so if that were to swing around and hit someone, we'd be in a great deal of mess. So, that's where we're at with that. We do have a tentative schedule over the next 3 months to transplant the planters with a group of volunteers, from local businesses here. We're gonna try to do it all in, Friday, Saturday increments. Moving the soil into the new planters with the viable plants, anything that is not able to be repurposed, then Pat's Garden Center is willing to give us a look at what we have and a potential credit since we purchased it from them, so that might be
And when are those, when's the plan on those going up then?
So in the next 2 to 3 months, they're really low on staff for
Isn't that gonna be going into winter? I mean, so,
well,
why plan
they'd be
them?
up year round anyway, so if we can transplant them in the next 2 to 3 months, we still have plenty of time to make sure that those are
It's not
viable.
gonna be summer plants then, it's.
No, and the other part of that is making sure that there's only native plants going in there that can survive year round, rather than planting every year,
right,
flowers that are like cut flowers. We're not gonna continue buying that type of thing,
the other
so.
question too is you said on the last meeting that some of the businesses wanted to have the opportunity of
Like adopting a planter,
adopting it, yeah. So are they gonna have the decision of what they're planting then? I mean,
No.
since they're adopting?
So it would be included in, so they could choose from a list of plants that will work in the planters year round. So then again, we're not running into that same issue of
Okay,
either them spending or us spending to replace it because
Right.
it's constantly empty.
Okay.
And I had put together just a basic, not contract per se, but agreement between business owners.
Right.
Since BDL is gonna be the one that's managing some of that, it does need to go to the BDL board before we can launch that one, but it's well underway. And that again includes the trash receptacles, the benches, and the planters on all of that.
Business promotion.
So the next would be requesting bids from electrical contractors. So we had talked about replacing the LED lights in the decorative lighting downtown. I'm still waiting to receive the final bids from the contractors that I contacted. That's a tongue twister. They needed a little bit more information on who liability only, because we're using equipment from the city that the city has purchased, and then they're installing it. They wanted to make sure that everyone's covered on both ends, so that if something were to happen, that it goes to the correct place. So I'm hoping to have those bids for review in our August meeting. We already went over planters, sunshades, wayfinding. We do have a meeting on Tuesday with some of our volunteers that have walked downtown from a tourist perspective to see where we need signage so that we can identify locations and then start getting bids on actual signs. We did get pricing on the crosswalk beacons, and they are, I think, more than the Business Improvement District can handle. I don't think it would be a viable solution to pay for the beacons because it would essentially take the remaining amount of the business improvement district like to 2026. So with the cost of the installation, the cement work, the infrastructure, the actual beacons themselves, it would be more than what the BID would make, I guess, or receive, so,
Especially if they're gonna redo the road anyway.
yeah.
That'd be wasted.
Area 3, business promotion, like I said, we are continuing to use the Tribune, other publications, press releases. The newest is I did a podcast with Weaponized Media. They advertise it on their social media sites, just answering the question, what is BDL and what do we do? And as part of that, I took every single opportunity to say, and also the Business Improvement District, and also the Business Improvement District, just to make sure that folks understand what the difference is between the two and what the purpose is of both of them. So that was a really awesome opportunity. Banner brackets, I don't have a measurement on those. We are waiting to figure out if we want to just replace all of them at the same time, because the amount that we would have to order is enough to replace all the ones that we have so that they're brand new and also still have additional ones. So it doesn't make sense to not just have all completely brand new and have the same lifespan on all of those. And then the $5 can change your community. So we've been collecting testimonials throughout the year to be able to launch that in kind of the lull after events where we don't really have a whole lot going on. Launching that and getting testimonials from business owners, from ratepayers, from community members saying, you know, this is a great idea. This is how local people can support our business, and this is what it actually turns into. So we've had really great feedback with that. Area 4, Presnell Gage is completing our financial review. She needed a couple additional pieces of documentation to finish that out, and it should be available to us in our August meeting for review. So she will be coming to present that to the board.
Anybody have any questions or comments on?
You have a work scholar coming in the fall, and I got it approved through LCSC to allow him to work on the business improvement district. So sorting out some of these items, putting maybe data together from ratepayers or contacting ratepayers and saying, hey, you know, we didn't see you at town hall. Maybe we can see you next time. That type of thing. So I'm really excited to have another set of hands.
We still definitely are hearing from people, oh, we don't even know how to get involved or when the meetings are, you know, but they're not really paying attention.
Yeah.
They're running their business, I get it,
Right.
yeah.
Any other discussion? All right, let's move on to Peter Cook, welcome. I kind of wish that would have been moved right to the top.
Right to the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, but no, thank you very much for your time, and I think you'll get something out of this for sure. It's a lot, but you also learn a lot too, so.
Peter, for those of us who don't know you well,
Yeah.
give us 3 seconds.
Pretty simple, been here since '77. We own a couple properties downtown. I have 3 other businesses in Nez Perce and Lewis counties. Most of them have gotten to the point now they're pretty self-sufficient. I'm blessed with great staff, so I have more time on my hands than I've had in several years. And so part of my thought was, rather than, you know, running around playing in the trees and going upriver and all that, is try to get back to my community that has supported me, helped me excel, helped my family excel, and this is my first step.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Welcome, for sure. All right, any staff?
You probably should be aware of the fact that a lot of things are happening at the Liberty right now, because you may see people around there. We have been working with the Idaho Heritage Trust people to work on submitting a $100,000 grant to begin work on the marquee. And in that process, we have had their Their engineer has come up from Boise and done some work with us. I was very impressed with the things that she suggested. They were things that we were already involved in. Color palette is going to be a big discussion for the outside. And it has been painted 5 or 6 different colors over the years, et cetera. The neon company that works with most of the businesses that have neon here in the valley is coming to do an assessment of what needs to be done if in fact that is neon. And then on Friday, the new theatrical architect for the interior out of Salt Lake City is just replacing one that they did a transition of companies. And they're actually working on the new courthouse as well. And so they're going to be here on Friday and going to be working with us on interior things there. And we're trying to set the stage for beginning, for the larger donors. We've had some in, but we have others that we need to tour, and it's a process. It's far slower than what any of us want, but it's, the business plan is solid at this point, been reviewed, been rewritten. And I think that we're at a stage that's good. We have several major donors that are starting to line up for us in terms of initial contacts. We see some things. And I would encourage all downtown businesses that have the QR codes for their historical stuff to start telling their people, please check out our QR codes. Please check out the QR codes, because we've been doing that at the theater, people walking by, so.
We included a space in the newsletter to highlight each one of those buildings with the QR code in it. So when they receive that, they get the small blurb, but then if they scan that, they get the full
Perfect.
full description. And I'm also working with with Melinda Rose, the grant writer for the city, to see if we can't also get a grant for a walking tour to include those for downtown.
Kind of exciting.
That would be so awesome.
They're so clear, and that's really, people have enjoyed them who have actually gone up, clicked on them, and looked at the history of the buildings, and so. I guess I'm thinking about that because the memorial service for Ron Carlberg, who was involved in historical preservation for downtown, is on the 22nd, and that was his project, and it's taken about 13 years to get it to where we wanted it to be.
Any other comments? Looks like August 10th is our next meeting.
Yes.
Right.
I'm okay.
All right, no administration comments? Get a motion to adjourn?
I guess I should answer. I'm like, no.
We just need to keep in mind, we have the next town hall meeting scheduled for August 8th. That is just a little over a month away, and we don't necessarily have a solid plan. I think the last one, we kind of engaged with more ratepayers. The first one incorporated the work plan and the annual meeting for BDL so that we could identify the separation between the two and kind of introduce it. So this third one, I do need a little bit of feedback from the board on what you want presented. Do we need to change the day, the time? Last time we did it from 5:30 to 7:30 with a half hour of a social hour in the beginning. We can do it during the day. We have the Orchid Room scheduled from 5:30 to 7:30 on August 8th, but I can very easily change that. But I do need feedback from the board on how you want that to run. So if that's something they would send to you, or I don't know if they can send that to me directly.
As long as you are not on an email altogether.
Okay.
But if you had recommendations, you can send it.
I have a question about that, like, all right, how about a statement? I'm up early at 5:30 at night meeting, I'm tuning out, I'm just not good at night meetings. I'm wondering if other business owners are the same way, that's why they don't attend the night meetings. What happened if we had a morning or an afternoon one?
Yeah, I mean, we could do something over lunch and do more of a lunch and learn style, and cap it at an hour and a half at the very, very most. So that it's something that folks can still, you know, a lot of property owners are also their business owners and are also are one of two employees, so they kind of encompass that full gamut. For them to leave for an hour and a half is long enough, so if we can cap it at an hour and provide them lunch, I think that would really benefit everyone and it would absolutely cater to those folks. I'm one of them that.
And Tuesday nights tend to be hugely populated with meetings.
There's my 2 cents.
Nonprofits can only spell Tuesday.
It's the easiest word. So yes, just feel free to send me any feedback on times, days that'll work for you in August. I would prefer that more BID board members are present at this next one, so that ratepayers that you might know can approach you. I think time they see that the same people are presenting over and over and over again, it kind of goes by the wayside and we're not really having a productive meeting, so.
All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Not everyone at once.
There's a motion, who's second?
I'm gonna guess we don't have any discussion on that. Sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm not getting any
Volume's
opposed, I'm
down.
sure. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
That was a lot.